So you think you know pickup trucks. You have seen the Fords, the Chevys, the Dodges lined up at every gas station and parking lot in America. But what about the ones you have never seen? The trucks so rare that most people do not even know they existed. Some were built in numbers you can count on your fingers. Others vanished because the companies that made them simply disappeared. Today we are counting down the 25 most rare old pickup trucks ever made. Some of these will blow your mind. If you enjoy this kind of deep dive, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss our next countdown. Let us get into it. Number 25. The Chevrolet 454 SS. In 1990, Chevrolet did something beautifully reckless. They took their smallest half-ton pickup, the C1500, and shoved in the biggest engine they had, a massive 454 cubic inch big block V8. The result was the 454 SS, and it was glorious. This thing made 230 horsepower and 385 pound-feet of torque, which does not sound like much today, but in 1990, it was the fastest production pickup truck in America. It could smoke the tires from a dead stop without even trying. And here is the thing, you could only get it one way. Black exterior, garnet red interior, short bed, regular cab. No options, no choices. Take it or leave it. Chevrolet built just under 17,000 of them across 4 model years, from 1990 to 1993, and the first-year trucks are the ones collectors really want. Finding one that has not been beaten to death is the real challenge today because people drove these things hard. The first year, 1990, saw the most production, but a surprising number have been wrecked, modified beyond recognition, or simply rusted away in barns across the country. Clean, original examples now regularly sell for well over $30,000 at auction. Number 24. The Ford SVT Lightning First Generation. Before the second-generation Lightning became a household name, Ford quietly released the original between 1993 and 1995. This was Ford's first real attempt at a factory performance truck, and they did not mess around. Under the hood sat a 351 cubic inch Windsor 58, making 240 horsepower, paired with a specially tuned suspension that sat lower than a standard F-150. Only about 11,000 were built during that 3-year run, but here is what makes them truly collectible. Nobody saved them. People bought these trucks and used them. They raced them, modified them, beat on them. Finding an unmolested original first-gen Lightning today is like finding a needle in a haystack. The second generation gets all the glory, but the first generation started the revolution, and there are far fewer survivors to prove it. The irony is that most people do not even know the first generation exists, which means many original examples are still sitting in garages unrecognized for what they truly are. Number 23. The Mazda Repu. This one is genuinely strange. In 1974, Mazda decided to put a rotary engine in a pickup truck. Not a V8, not even a conventional 4-cylinder, a 1.3-liter 13B Wankel rotary engine. They called it the Repu, which stands for Rotary Engine Pickup, because apparently nobody at Mazda felt like getting creative with names that day. It was the first and only mass-produced pickup truck powered by a rotary engine, and to this day, no other manufacturer has tried it. The Repu was sold from 1974 to 1977 exclusively in North America, and approximately 15,000 were built. But here is the catch. The energy crisis hit hard right after it launched, and a rotary engine is not exactly famous for fuel economy. Most of the 1974 models were actually re-stamped as 1975 units because they just were not selling. Today, the Repu is a holy grail for rotary enthusiasts, and clean examples command serious money. Number 22. The Dodge Dakota Sport Convertible. A convertible pickup truck. Just let that sink in for a moment. In 1989, Dodge actually built one. They contracted American Sunroof Corporation the same company that built the Buick Grand National GNX, to chop the roofs off Dakota Sport single-cab pickups and install a folding soft top. It was probably the most ridiculous factory truck ever conceived, and it was absolutely wonderful. About 4,000 were produced across a 3-year run from 1989 to 1991. The Dakota was already unique as the first and only mid-size truck of its era, sitting right between the compact imports and the full-size American haulers. Making it a convertible was just pure audacity. Finding one today is incredibly difficult because soft tops and pickup truck beds are not exactly a winning combination for long-term preservation. Most of them rotted, leaked, or were simply stripped of their tops and converted back. The ones that survived intact are genuine conversation starters at any truck show, and collectors who own one will tell you that nothing turns heads quite like rolling down the highway in a convertible pickup. Number 21. The Lincoln Blackwood. In 2001, Ford had what seemed like a brilliant idea: take the Ford F-150, wrap it in Lincoln luxury, and sell it to wealthy buyers who wanted a premium pickup. The result was the Lincoln Blackwood, and it was a spectacular failure. It had a power-operated tonneau cover, a carpeted and lined bed with stainless steel trim, and wood accents everywhere. The problem was that you could not actually use the bed for anything without destroying the interior. It came only in black, only with two-wheel drive, and only as a crew cab. Lincoln built approximately 3,300 before pulling the plug after just one model year. The Blackwood is rare not because it was special, but because nobody wanted it. Still, it has developed a strange cult following among collectors who appreciate its sheer absurdity, and pristine examples are surprisingly hard to find. Number 20. The GMC Syclone. In 1991, GMC created a monster. The Syclone was based on the compact GMC Sonoma, but underneath it was anything but ordinary. A turbocharged 4.3-liter V6 produced 280 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, fed through an all-wheel drive system borrowed from the GMC Safari minivan. The result? 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. That was faster than the Chevrolet Corvette. It was faster than a Ferrari 348. Car and driver actually lined them up, and the Syclone won. Only 2,995 were built in 1991, and just 3 rolled off the line in 1992 before production ended. The Syclone could not tow, could not haul more than 500 pounds, and cost nearly $26,000 at a time when America was in a recession. It was gloriously impractical, and today it is one of the most sought-after trucks in existence. Number 19. The Dodge Lil Red Express. The year was 1978, and Dodge decided to build the original muscle truck. The Lil Red Express was a D150 Utiline step-side pickup painted in bright red with a real oak-trimmed bed, 4-inch chrome exhaust stacks running up behind the cab like a big rig, and elaborate gold decals. Under the hood sat a 360 cubic inch V8, producing 225 horsepower. That does not sound impressive now, but here is the secret. Emissions laws in the late 70s were lax for trucks compared to cars, so the Lil Red Express was actually one of the fastest American vehicles you could buy in 1978. It could outrun many of the neutered muscle cars of that era. Production lasted just 2 model years, 1978 and 1979, making it a genuine limited edition piece of American truck history that commands serious respect at auctions today. Well-preserved examples with low mileage and original exhaust stacks have been known to sell for over $50,000, and the prices keep climbing as more collectors recognize this truck for the trailblazer it truly was. Number 18. The Dodge D100 Dude. In 1970, Dodge partnered with actor Don Knotts to create one of the most oddly named pickup trucks in history. The Dude package was applied to the D100 and came with special paint options, unique graphics, and could be had with a range of engines including the fearsome 383 cubic inch big block V8. The name came from Knotts and his association with the easygoing, fun-loving American character, and Dodge leaned into it fully. Production lasted just 2 years, from 1970 to 1971, and estimates suggest somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 were made. Exact numbers are fuzzy because Dodge did not keep meticulous records of special edition packages back then. Today, finding an authentic Dude is extremely difficult, and many supposed examples are actually regular D100s that someone slapped graphics on after the fact. Number 17, the Dodge Shelby Dakota. When Dodge and Carroll Shelby teamed up in the late 1980s, the result was a truck that proved even a mid-size pickup could have real muscle car DNA. The Shelby Dakota carried a fuel-injected 5.2-liter V8, making 175 horsepower, paired with a 4-speed automatic. Shelby added his signature touches: an electric fan, limited-slip rear axle, gas pressure shocks, a front stabilizer bar, and distinctive Shelby graphics across the upper windshield sides and tailgate. The blacked-out grille bumpers and fender flares gave it an aggressive look that was unmistakable. Just 1,475 examples were built, making it one of the rarest Shelby vehicles of any kind. Most Shelby enthusiasts are chasing Mustangs and Cobras, which means the Shelby Dakota often flies under the radar. But those who know what it is understand they are looking at a rare piece of performance truck history. Number 16. The Dodge Ram SRT-10. If the Syclone was a scalpel, the Dodge Ram SRT-10 was a sledgehammer. Produced from 2004 to 2006, Dodge took a full-size Ram and dropped in an 8.3-liter V10 engine straight from the Viper. Yes, the Viper. 500 horsepower in a pickup truck. The SRT-10 held the Guinness World Record as the fastest production truck, hitting over 150 miles per hour. Early models came with a 6-speed manual transmission, which made it even more ridiculous to drive. The thing about the SRT-10 is that the production run was extremely limited, and over the years it has gained a cult following among collectors who appreciate its absurd concept. It was essentially a muscle car in truck clothing, and finding a well-preserved example today, especially a manual transmission model, is becoming increasingly difficult. Number 15. The Chevrolet Silverado Intimidator SS. In 2006, Chevrolet created a special edition Silverado that honored the legacy of NASCAR legend Dale Earnhardt. Licensed by Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, the Intimidator SS featured a Vortec 6000 V8, producing 345 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. But the real draw was the styling. The truck wore an exclusive black onyx exterior, Intimidator branding, a rear spoiler, embroidered headrests, and your choice of cloth or leather interior. Only 1,333 were built, and each one came with a numbered plaque. For Earnhardt fans and truck collectors, this is one of the most desirable modern pickups in existence. The fact that it honored a fallen racing legend gave it an emotional connection that goes far beyond horsepower numbers, and that emotional weight has kept values climbing steadily, year after year. Number 14. The Jeep J10 Honcho. When Jeep dropped the Gladiator name for the J Series in the mid-1970s, they created several notable trim packages. The Honcho was the rarest and the boldest. Produced between 1976 and 1983, the Honcho featured wide 8x15-inch spoke wheels, off-road tires, a sport steering wheel, Levi's denim interior, yes, actual denim, and a unique gold stripe that ran across the bedside, fenders, and tailgate. Only 1,264 Honchos were produced during that entire run. Unlike many special editions that were just cosmetic packages, the Honcho was a Jeep through and through. It was built to conquer trails, and it could give modern off-roaders serious competition. Owning one is like owning a piece of the era when Jeep truly meant something rugged, adventurous, and unapologetically American. Number 13. The Chevrolet Cameo Carrier. In 1955, Chevrolet changed the truck world forever. The Cameo Carrier was the first pickup truck designed to look good, not just work hard. It featured revolutionary fiberglass reinforced side panels that gave the bed a smooth, car-like appearance instead of the typical utilitarian look of the era. Under the hood, a 265 cubic inch V8 produced 145 horsepower, and for the first time, a truck could be ordered with an automatic transmission. The Cameo Carrier was aimed at buyers who wanted a pickup that could also turn heads on a Saturday night. The problem? It cost a significant premium over a standard truck, and sales were never strong. Chevrolet produced the Cameo from 1955 through 1958, but first-year models are the rarest and most collectible. The Cameo Carrier essentially invented the luxury pickup segment decades before anyone else caught on. Number 12. The Dodge D150 Warlock. In 1977, Dodge created a truck that wanted to be a muscle car when it grew up. The D150 Warlock was offered with several engine options, but the most popular among buyers was the 440 cubic inch V8, which made it a genuine sleeper. Inside, the Warlock ditched the typical truck interior for black leather with a center console mimicking the cockpit of a true muscle machine. Outside, it wore gold pinstriping, unique graphics, and optional wooden bed rails. Produced from 1977 to 1979, the Warlock was Dodge's attempt to bridge the gap between working truck and weekend warrior. Production numbers were limited, and today, finding one with the big block engine and original interior intact is a collector's dream. The Warlock represented an era when truck manufacturers were starting to realize that people wanted personality in their pickups, not just payload capacity. It was part of what Dodge called their adult toys lineup, and honestly, the name fits perfectly. Number 11. The Ford F-150 Bicentennial Edition. In 1976, America celebrated its 200th birthday, and Ford was not about to miss the party. The F-150 Bicentennial Edition was a patriotic masterpiece, featuring a special red, white, and blue paint scheme and a gigantic bald eagle decal that started at the front fender and spanned nearly the entire length of the truck. Mechanically, it was identical to a standard F-150, but visually, it was impossible to miss. The Bicentennial Edition was a limited production run, and exact numbers are difficult to pin down. What makes it especially rare today is that many owners eventually grew tired of the giant eagle graphic and either removed the decals or repainted their trucks entirely. Finding one with the original decals intact and in good condition is extremely rare, and those that survive have become highly prized pieces of American automotive patriotism. You can almost hear a bald eagle screeching in the background every time one of these trucks rolls past. Number 10. The Powell Sport Wagon. Here is a truck that almost nobody has heard of, and it is one of the most fascinating pickups ever made. In 1955, two brothers from Compton, California, named Hayward and Channing Powell started building pickup trucks using salvaged 1941 Plymouth chassis pulled from junkyards. They rebuilt the running gear, dropped on a new steel and fiberglass body, and sold them as the Powell Sport Wagon. Motor Life magazine put it on their cover and called it one of the most interesting and unique automobiles in the United States. The Sport Wagon featured a clever retractable storage tube hidden in the bed, perfect for stashing fishing rods or rifles. Only about 1,200 pickups and 300 station wagons were built, before the supply of rebuildable Plymouth chassis ran dry, and production ended in 1957. Today, the Powell Sport Wagon registry lists just over 100 known survivors, making this one of the rarest American pickups in existence. Number 9. The Diamond T Model 201. If you have never heard of Diamond T, you are not alone, but back in the day, these trucks were considered the Cadillac of pickups. Built from 1938 to 1949 by the Diamond T Motor Car Company of Chicago, the Model 201 was a one-ton pickup that cost nearly twice as much as a comparable Ford or Chevrolet, and it showed. The grille and trim were stainless steel. It featured a passenger car-style front end, hydraulic brakes, and an interior that was downright luxurious for a working truck. Power came from a Hercules 236 cubic inch inline-six, producing 91 horsepower, mated to a Warner 4-speed manual. Only about 7,000 were built across the entire 11-year run, which works out to fewer than 700 per year. Many were worked to death and scrapped. Today, a fully restored Diamond T can fetch over $50,000, and they are considered some of the finest pre-war pickups ever made. Number 8. The Studebaker Coupe Express. In 1937, Studebaker did something decades ahead of its time. They took their stylish passenger car and grafted a pickup bed onto it, creating the Coupe Express. This was essentially the first car-based pickup truck in America, predating the Ford Ranchero by 20 years and the Chevrolet El Camino by over 2 decades. It looked gorgeous, with streamlined Art Deco styling, sweeping fenders, and a chrome grille that would not have looked out of place on a luxury automobile. Under the hood sat a Studebaker inline-six with available overdrive transmission. Production lasted only from 1937 to 1939, making it one of the shortest-lived truck models in American history. The total number built is extremely low, and surviving examples are rare enough that most truck enthusiasts have never seen one in person. The Coupe Express is a genuine unicorn of the pre-war truck world. When one surfaces at auction, which happens maybe once every few years, it immediately draws a crowd of stunned onlookers who cannot believe what they are looking at. Number 7. The Ford Bronco Pickup. Everyone knows the Ford Bronco as an iconic SUV, but very few people realize that Ford also made a Bronco pickup truck. Starting in 1966, the first-generation Bronco was offered in multiple body styles, including a half-cab pickup with a small cargo bed. It shared the same 170 cubic inch inline-six and optional 289 V8 as the standard Bronco, along with its rugged four-wheel drive system. But sales of the pickup variant were poor from the start. By 1967, Ford was already winding down production. The numbers tell the story. 2,602 pickups in 1967, dropping to just 1,503 by the final year in 1971. That makes the 1971 Bronco pickup one of the rarest Ford trucks ever produced. While restored standard Broncos can sell for 6 figures, the pickup variant is even harder to find and carries a premium that reflects its extreme scarcity. Number 6. The Hudson Big Boy. Hudson is a name most people associate with sedans and the legendary Hornet that dominated NASCAR in the early 1950s. But between 1939 and 1947, Hudson also built a pickup truck called the Big Boy. Like most trucks of the era, it was based on the company's automobile platform, specifically the Hudson Super 6. It came in both half-ton and three-quarter-ton configurations before the war, though only the three-quarter-ton survived the post-war resumption of production. The Big Boy was powered by a smooth inline 6-cylinder engine and featured the same quality construction that made Hudson sedans so respected. Production was interrupted by World War II, and when it resumed, Hudson was already struggling financially. Very few Big Boys were built in total, and even fewer survive today. The series can be broken into the earlier and rarer Series 98 and the post-war and more common Series 58, though calling either one common would be a serious stretch of the word. Finding one is an event, and owning one puts you in an incredibly small and dedicated community of Hudson truck enthusiasts who consider these among the most beautiful pre-war pickups ever designed. Number 5. The Dodge Rampage and Shelby Rampage. In 1982, Dodge tried to create a small, affordable pickup based on their front-wheel drive Omni platform. The result was the Rampage, a tiny car-based truck that was essentially an American answer to the compact imports flooding the market. Sales were underwhelming, and by 1983, production barely topped 8,000 units. But here is where the story gets interesting. Carroll Shelby got his hands on a few of them and created what might be the rarest Shelby vehicle ever, the California Shelby Rampage. These were modified in Shelby's signature Skunk Works fashion and sold exclusively in California. Nobody knows exactly how many were made, but the number is believed to be incredibly small. Finding any Rampage today is difficult. Finding a Shelby Rampage is next to impossible. They represent a forgotten corner of both Dodge and Shelby history that most enthusiasts do not even know exists, which only makes surviving examples more fascinating. Number 4. The 1997 Chevrolet S10 EV General Motors made history in 1997 by becoming the first major automaker to produce a fully electric pickup truck. The Chevrolet S10 EV was based on the standard S10 compact pickup and was powered by a lead-acid battery pack with an electric motor. It was primarily offered through fleet sales and lease programs in California and select markets. Range was limited, around 40 to 60 miles on a full charge, and the batteries were heavy and took up considerable space. Most importantly for our purposes, very few were produced. The exact number is debated, but it was extremely small. When GM famously ended its electric vehicle programs, many S10 EVs were recalled and destroyed, just like the EV1 passenger car. The handful that survived are now priceless artifacts of automotive history, proving that electric trucks were not invented in the 2020s. They were born in the 90s, killed, and then reborn decades later. Number 3. The Marmon Harrington Ford 4x4 pickup conversions. Before Jeep, before Land Rover, before any modern four-wheel drive truck existed, there was Marmon Harrington. Starting in the late 1930s, this Indianapolis company took brand-new Ford trucks straight from the factory and converted them into four-wheel drive machines. The process was entirely hand-built. The body and powertrain were removed. A 4-speed truck transmission was installed along with a heavy-duty transfer case and a completely new front axle assembly. Then everything was reassembled on a strengthened frame. The conversions cost twice what a standard Ford truck sold for, which severely limited sales. No production records survived, so nobody knows exactly how many were built, but Marmon Harrington enthusiasts estimate that only a dozen or so examples of all body styles from any given year are known to exist today. These trucks were pioneers of the four-wheel drive revolution, and finding one is the kind of discovery that makes grown collectors weep with joy. Number 2. The 1991 Ford Skyranger. Here is a truck so rare that most Ford enthusiasts have never even heard of it. In 1991, Ford took their Ranger XLT extended cab and sent a small batch to Professional Auto Crafters, a conversion company that chopped off the roof and installed a folding soft top, turning a standard compact pickup into a convertible. The result was the Ford Skyranger, and only 17 were ever made. 17. That is not a typo. You could fit every Skyranger ever produced in a small parking lot with room to spare. The truck retained the Ranger's standard powertrain and was reasonably capable as a daily driver, but the open-air experience made it something entirely different. Because so few were built, and they almost never come up for sale, the Skyranger has become something of a legend in the trucking world. Seeing one is rare. Owning one requires incredible luck, deep pockets, and the kind of patience that most collectors simply do not have. Number 1. The 1962 GMC Railroad Crew Cab. And here it is, the rarest American pickup truck ever made. In 1962, GMC produced a crew cab pickup that was not built at any GM factory. Instead, third-party coach builders made the conversions, creating extended cab trucks designed specifically for the railroad industry. These were not your average pickups. They were modified with rear-flanged steel wheels and retractable front steel wheels, so they could literally drive on railroad tracks. Only 6 were ever produced. 6. To put that in perspective, in that same year, Ferrari built 39 of their legendary 250 GTOs, and those are considered some of the rarest vehicles on Earth. The GMC Railroad Crew Cab makes the GTO look common. There is only one known specialty order fender side model in the United States, with 3 of the other 6 positively identified in Canada. The last known purchase was by a gentleman named Oscar Lopez, who bought one from a lifelong friend for a grand total of $700. These trucks almost never surface, and most collectors do not even know they exist. And there you have it, 25 of the most rare old pickup trucks ever made. From muscle trucks that outran Ferraris to railroad pickups built in batches of 6, the world of rare trucks is full of stories that most people have never heard. Which one of these surprised you the most? And did we miss any rare trucks that should have made the list? Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into truck history, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you do not miss our next countdown. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.